Assalamu alaikum. Welcome back to our online class. How are you all? Hope you all are studying well. All the best for all the subjects. Keep your notes completed. I'm telling you again and again. Read the readers, all the lessons. Okay, whatever teacher is teaching you, after that read it thoroughly, properly in every subject. Or reader should be in your mind all the time. It's not that just before exams we'll study. Keep it studying. We are hardly in second lesson, but first lesson what came from where any question can come, you should know that for 1 mark, half a mark, or 4 marks. You should read it, read the lessons again and again. Okay, so we will be doing our second lesson. A little bit we have started with respiration. We'll continue the lesson. About diaphragm we were studying the movement of rib cage during inhalation. Inhalation means inside, the air going inside the body. Exhalation, the gas which we send out of the body. Exhalation. The chest wall is made up of ribs, muscles and the skin. The ribs are attached to an angle to the spine. If you run for your finger along one of your ribs, you will notice that it extends downward from the spine. When we inhale, the chest wall moves up and expands. Got it? When we take the air inside, chest wall moves up and it expands, it becomes big. This causes an increase in the volume of chest cavity. The volume will increase, the breadth will increase. Okay, what will happen when we take in air, children? Chest wall moves up and expands, it makes big, it becomes. This can cause an increase in the volume of our chest cavity. The diaphragm may be imagined as a floor if you think of the chest cavity as a room. If the chest cavity is a room, diaphragm is a floor. It is understood, right? When the diaphragm is relaxed, when we breathe out, it is in the shape of a dome, with the convex side of the dome extending into the chest cavity. When the diaphragm contracts during inhalation, it flattens out a bit or the dome moves downward. As a result, what happens? The volume of the chest cavity is increased. When the diaphragm flattens and the volume of chest cavity is increased, its internal pressure decreases and the air from the outside rushes into the lungs. Got it? Diaphragm flattened, volume of chest cavity increases, internal pressure goes down and the air from outside rushes into the lungs. Quickly it goes into the lungs. Is called inhalation or inspiration. Then the reverse occurs. The chest wall is lowered and moves inward. Diaphragm relaxes and assumes its dome shape. These changes increase the pressure on the lungs. Got it? The elastic tissue contracts and squeezes the air out through the nose to the external atmosphere. This is expiration. The other name of exhalation. Inspiration, expiration. Okay, inhalation, exhalation. Our lungs are spongy in nature. They are not of the same size. The lungs toward left is slightly smaller, making space for your heart. Lungs are protected by two membranes called pleura. A fluid filled between these membranes protects the lungs from injury and also help in expansion of spongy and elastic lung muscle. As I slide one over the other, you must have noticed that your own breathing is slow and shallow when you are at rest. It is deeper and faster when you exercise hard. What it indeed patterns of breathing show us great range, for they are coordinated with moment by moment needs of the body for supply of oxygen and removal of carbon dioxide. What other situations affect our breathing? Affect your breathing? It has been found that all movements of breathing stop at once when the nerves leading from the brain to respiratory muscles are cut. They are not in connection. So what happens? Movement of breathing stop because the nerves leading from brain to respiratory muscles are removed, cut off. What can we conclude from this? What happens during the process of breathing? Which gas needs to be removed from our body during exhalation? Where does the extra amount of gas come from? What is the composition of inhaled air? When exhaled air is composed with inhaled air, is there any difference in the composition, children? Now we see the gaseous exchange, the gases which exchange in the lungs. Alveoli to capillaries. Alveoli means a part of the lung. Capillaries, a part of the blood. From the blood which enters the body. Gaseous exchange takes place within the lungs by diffusion from the alveoli to blood capillaries and vice versa. The carbon dioxide in the body, CO2 is present in the blood, is exchanged for oxygen in the alveoli. These tiny air sacs in the lungs are numerous and only 1 cell thick. They are surrounded by capillaries that are also only 1 cell thick. Blood, dark red in color, flows from the heart through these capillaries and collects oxygen from the alveoli. At the same time, carbon dioxide passes out of the capillaries and into the alveoli. When we breathe out, we get rid of carbon dioxide. The bright red oxygen-rich blood is returned to the heart and pumped out to all parts of the body. The diagram of alveolus with pulmonary capillary. As a result of gaseous exchange, the composition of inhaled and exhaled air is different. See the table which is given below, children. Approximately values what are given. Gas, how much is inhaled oxygen taken in? 21%. Given out exhaled 16. Carbon dioxide, how much is inhaled taken in? 0.03. How much is given out exhaled? 4.4, large amount. Nitrogen which is inhaled is 78. Nitrogen which is exhaled given out is also 78. Got the difference? Why does the amount of oxygen vary from exhaled and inhaled air? What has raised the percentage of carbon dioxide in exhaled air? The total lung capacity of human beings is nearly 5800 ml. Normally at rest, we inhale or exhale approximately 500 ml of air is there. 1200 ml of air remains in lungs after complete exhalation. Okay. Now recall the activity of lung capacity performed by you in class 7. Do you remember respiration in organisms? Transportation of gases. We know that air is a mixture of gases. Everyone knows it, isn't it? Oxygen, carbon dioxide, nitrogen, gases. So many gases are there present in air. Right? That fills the lungs and alveoli when that enter our body. The relative amount of different gases in air and their combining capacity with hemoglobin and other substances in the blood determine their transport via blood in the body. When oxygen present in the air within normal limits, around 21%, then almost all of it is carried in the blood by binding to hemoglobin, a protein quite like chlorophyll, the only major difference being it has iron in the place of magnesium as in chlorophyll, present in the red blood cells. As oxygen diffused in the blood, it rapidly combines with hemoglobin to form oxyhemoglobin. Got it? Not only hemoglobin can combine with oxygen, but the reverse can also happen to yield a molecule of hemoglobin and oxygen. Like hemoglobin Hb combines with oxygen 4O2 gives HbO2 in lungs. See the equation. Carbon dioxide is usually transported as bicarbonate, while some amount of it combines, CO2 combines with hemoglobin also, and rest of it is dissolved in blood plasma. Now we'll show you the equation for a better understanding. HbO2 forms in lungs. It is released in tissues. What it breaks down as hemoglobin Hb plus 4 molecules of oxygen. If hemoglobin, this red box is just for your general knowledge. If hemoglobin is exposed to air at sea level, nearly every molecule combines with oxygen to form oxyhemoglobin. What is oxyhemoglobin, children? New word. Oxygen combined with hemoglobin is called oxyhemoglobin. At a height of 13 km, about 8 miles above the sea level, The concentration of oxygen is much lower, about 1/5 of sea level. Okay, so what happens under these conditions? Only about half as many molecules of oxygen combine with hemoglobin to form oxyhemoglobin. This is important because blood cannot carry enough oxygen to the tissues if hemoglobin is combined with few oxygen molecules. In fact, human life is impossible at such an altitude without a supplementary supply of oxygen. Okay, provision of such a supply is built into modern aircraft which have pressurized cabins that maintain an enriched air supply. When we go deep into the sea, we will face another type of problems. Now, gaseous exchange back again, what happens? Capillaries to cells and back. In the capillaries over the tissues, hemoglobin meets a very different environment. The tissue cells are continuously using oxygen, hence the concentration of oxygen is quite low in them. It might be only 1/3 of that in the lungs. As the concentration of oxygen is so low, oxyhemoglobin releases the oxygen molecule. Just now we have seen that formula that enters the cells. Got it? In the reaction that occurs within the cells in our bodies, carbon dioxide and water are produced and energy is released to be used for different purposes. What it homework for today? Explain transportation of gases and define oxyhemoglobin. Thank you children. Submit the homework by evening. Assalamu alaikum.